Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and fellow participants, welcome to this solemn gathering as we've come together to remember and honor the lives affected by one of the darkest chapters in history. We from the Department of Student Affairs, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal, an Institute of Eminence, commemorate Partition Horror Remembrance Day. We unite to pay tribute to those who've endured unimaginable suffering during the partition of India and Pakistan. Let us join hands in solidarity to ensure that history's lessons are never forgotten. At this moment, I invite to the dais our esteemed guest, Dr. Narayana Sabhahit, Pro-Chancellor, Technology and Science, MAHE, Dr. P. Giridhar Kini, Registrar, MAHE, our chief guest for today, Colonel Vinod, Bhaskar, Chief Warden, Health Sciences and MIT Hostels, MAHE, Dr. Geetha Maiya, Director, Student Affairs, MAHE Manipal, and Director, General Services, Colonel Prakash, Chandra, on stage. I request Dr. Geetha Maiya to kindly escort them onto the dais. Let's pause for a moment of silence, everyone. You all can stand up to your feet. Thank you. The memories of the past serve as a sober reminder of the importance of unity, tolerance, and empathy in our world today. I request everyone to kindly rise, even as we join for prayer together to seek solace and strength for the souls of those who have suffered during partition. I request Arun Shrivastava, finally a BBA student of Department of Commerce, to lead us through invocation. Can we all stand up to our feet even as we invoke the divine?
अच्युतं केशवं कृष्णदामोदरं रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् अच्युतं केशवं कृष्णदामोदरं रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् कौन कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं कौन कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं हम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं हम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरं रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभं रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम्.
Please be seated. Thanks for your presence here today at this momentous occasion. We have with us today Dr. P. Giridhar Kini, Registrar, MAHE Manipal. So I request you to do the honors of welcoming all the delegates and esteemed guests who are gathered here today.
Dr. Narayana Sabhahit, Vice Chancellor, Technology and Science, Colonel Bhaskar, Chief Warden, MAHE, Colonel Prakash, Director General Services, Dr. Geetha Maiya, Director Student Affairs, members of MAHE, dear students, good evening to all of you. August 14th will always be remembered as Partition Horror Day. We have only heard stories and or even seen a few pictures about what actually happened. Probably a few slides or moving pictures here and there about how things have happened. But what we do not know is that the amount of trauma that people have undergone Some of them have sacrificed their loved ones. People have been orphaned. A whole lot of things. And it's very much important that we understand that, the 15th of August, we started our Independence Freedom Day with this kind of background. So it's very much important that we understand the horrors of partition, why it happened, how it all happened, and pay respects to the departed ones. And it's very apt that the government of India has encouraged all of us to observe this particular day, and we should make it very important that it is the memories of what happened, which you all can see. It's kept alive, and we recognize this day as a Partition Horror Day. So, thank you very much for making it convenient to come for this particular event, and please spread the message about this particular day back in history, and let's hope that we keep this at the back of our minds every day, every year when we talk about August 14th. So thank you very much for making it convenient to come, and have a nice day.
Thank you, sir, for the warm welcome. The partition of India in 1947 was indeed a tragic and a heart-wrenching event that resulted in the displacement of millions and led to immense loss of life. Communities were torn apart, families were separated, and lives were forever changed. Today, we gather to remember these events and ensure that the sacrifices they made are never in vain. As we illuminate the darkness of history, let us now symbolically light the lamp, signifying the enlightenment of knowledge and triumph of unity over division. We will We're really delighted to present a mesmerizing tabla performance that promises to captivate your senses and transport you into the enchanting world of rhythm and melody. We have our very own student from the Department of Commerce, Aryan Chandra, perform for us all.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujala Sufala, Malayaj Sheetala, Sasya Shyamala Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhra Jyotsna Pulakitayamini, Pullakusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suhasini Sumadura Bhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram.
Thank you, Aryan. It's an honor to introduce our esteemed chief guest for today's event, Colonel Vinod Bhaskar, Chief Warden, Health Sciences and MAHE Hostels, MAHE Manipal. Our esteemed chief guest, Colonel Vinod Bhaskar, he is a distinguished military veteran in over 3 decades of leadership at MAHE Manipal and also 3 years of decade leadership in Indian Army. Hailing from Tamil Nadu, he graduated from Himachal University in 1988 and holds a post-graduation in International Policy Studies and specialization in South Asian security. He's also completed a cybersecurity and cryptography course from the Military College of Telecommunication, Macau, and commissioned from the Indian Military Academy in 1990s. He served at various operational and administrative roles across India, including counterinsurgency and counter-terrorism operations. He's retired from the Indian Army in 2022. Colonel Vinod is also an author of 2 humorous fiction books, currently working on his third, and he's happily married to Mrs. Suhasini Bhaskar, a special education teacher. The couple is also blessed with 2 sons. Over to you, sir. We would now love to hear from you.
Thanks for all the good words you said about me. When we talk about the partition, what we tend to forget, we keep talking about the Holocaust. The Holocaust was about 6 million in that many years, 5 years. But this was about more than 500,000 in 15 days. So we tend to lose perspective that way. What I've heard of the partition is based on where I've been or where I come from, that is the army. And I remember my regiment took part in the protection of the convoys during the partition in the 1940s, during that time, 1947. So I remember my regiment, the first Mahar, was deployed in one of the camps, and they were supposed to protect the camps. Now, in those days, the units had been just divided, so they had Muslims from that unit who were deployed with their regular units in Pakistan. And they came in the night and warned them to kindly leave the place. They said, for your own security, because we don't want to do any harm to come to you. So they requested them to leave the refugees and go away. At that time, the young captain who was commanding that detachment was Captain Sundarji, who later on became chief of the army staff. And he refused to leave. Although he was a Tamilian, he didn't understand a word of Punjabi, he didn't know more than people over there. But he refused to leave. And those days, our regiment was known as a machine gun regiment. They had a predominance of machine guns, unlike other infantry battalions. And they were able to protect this convoy, these people, this refugee camp. They were able to escort them from there because they had vehicles, light vehicles. They escort them to the train. But they were not responsible for the protection of the train as such because they had to go back and get the next lot of refugees. So I believe a lot of the people who they loaded on the train did not survive. There are many such horror stories, but there are some bright spots also. As you all know, in fact, Pushpan Singh had once mentioned that in this horror of partition, the Sikhs were among the foremost, the most aggressive. But there is one village, one Muslim village in Pakistan, in Punjab, Maler Kotla, which is very famous and very well known in the Indian Army circles at least, because they supply all our zari work for us, the badges, all the rank, shoulders, whatever you have it, not only to the Indian Army, but also to armies abroad. And that village was spared because they had some connection with having saved with one of the gurus during during the Mughal period. And because of that, that village was saved. So even in the middle of all these horrors, there's still a bright spark. It shows that humanity is still there. It shows that you still have a spark. You still have that feeling for your brother man. That's all I had to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the significance of Partition Day, what you remember and what you've experienced being there. Now we would move to the patriotic song performance. Music has indeed power to evoke emotions and memories. At this juncture, we're thrilled to present a heartfelt patriotic song performance that plays tribute to the strength and resilience of our nation. I request Anushka Sarkar, Aran and Shrivastava, R. Shrivastava, to come forward and lead us through.
Hello.
मेरी मंजिल है पहचान तुझी से झूम जहाँ भी तेरी बुनियाद रहे तू झूम जहाँ भी मेरी बुनियाद रहे तू मैं वतन वतन आबाद रहे तू मैं जहाँ रहूँ याद रहे कोई गम की आँच आने नहीं दूँ मान मेरी जान तुझ पे शाद रहे तू कुर्बान मेरी जान तुझ पे शाद रहे तू वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू मैं जहाँ रहूँ जहाँ मैं याद रहे तू वतन मेरे वतन
Check. Thank you, students. I request Director General Services, Colonel Prakash Chandra, to share a few words commemorating the Partition Horror Remembrance Day.
Good evening, everybody. In fact, Colonel Vinod Bhaskar had very beautifully brought out how the Indian Army, the first MAHE regiment, played a vital role in evacuation and protection of the refugee convoys that happened in 1947. Well, we have seen all the posters out here. We went through the posters. every line or two lines that are written there brings tears to eyes. There's a poster which says, trains are moving and the human convoy is moving. But the destination is either India or Pakistan. If you really want to know about partition, one should read the book Freedom at Midnight by Larry Collins and Dominic Lapret. They're two Frenchmen. There's an entire chapter dedicated to partition, the horrors of partition, how the women were abused, how people lost their families, a whole lot of the biggest migration on earth, about 1.2 crore, 12 million people migrated from on either side of the continent. How did this partition begin after all? Well, there are 3 or 4 reasons. To cite is the Awami Muslim League of Pakistan by Liaquat Ali Khan and then later Muhammad Ali Jinnah. They wanted to have a separate state of Islam. Though we had 80% of Hindus and almost 20% of Muslims, and our Indian leaders wanted one India nation theory, but these people wanted this 2-state nation. That was one reason. Secondly, because of this communalism of the Muslim people, equally responsible were the Hindus too. The Hindu Mahasabha, the Arya Mahasabha, all these people also started fueling communal, flare within the people, as a result of which there was you or me type of a confrontation that took place. Thirdly, they realized that the Indian leaders and the Indian National Congress, headed by Mahatma Gandhi, he was the ex-officio president, Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, they all thought that this is the only solution. Partition of India was the only solution if peace has to prevail. So they invited the newly appointed viceroy, then was Lord Mountbatten, who had hardly any exposure in India. He came in 1947, the month of April or May. He invited another surveyor or architect, whatever you call, Sir Radcliffe. This man knew nothing about India. He had never visited India before, but he drew the famous line of partition, not giving any credence to where the population lived, which are predominantly Muslim, which are predominantly Hindu, nothing. He drew a line called the Radcliffe line, over which it was decided overnight that there will be a split. Pakistan will liberate on the 14th of August, and India will gain its independence on the 15th of August. And this led, nobody even realized what would be the outcome. Because you all know the British had one thing in mind, divide and rule was the basic aim. They did it in Bengal, the division of Bengal with Lord Curzon in 1905, or wherever they went. So then they decided, and when the British army was told to take over so much of riots, they refused to intervene. The colonial army, which captured India for 200 years, refused to act when they saw the human bloodshed. They just put their hands up and said, it's not our business now, you carry on. So, if you see the movie called M.K. Gandhi by Richard Attenborough, I remember seeing it about 25 years back. It's about 30 minutes is dedicated only to the partition scenes, the horrors of partition, which you see on those photographs. The number of people who, he was saying, there were Sikhs, there were Hindus. People didn't know where to go. There was 20% population of Muslims. They were told you move to Islamic State of Pakistan. But they didn't want to go. There are incidences where 2 brothers in a family, one chose to stay in India, one chose to stay in Pakistan. In 1948, when Pakistan decided to invade through Razakars in Kashmir border, I remember one of my brigade commanders, Brigadier Hussain, who fought the famous 71 operations. His son was a friend of mine. He had narrated to us how his uncle was fighting the Pakistan army, and this man was the Indian army. In fact, Brigadier Hussain got the Mahavir Chakra also, later on posthumously. So what I'm trying to tell is, families remained divided because of this partition. Somebody's uncles were there, somebody's grandchildren were here. Nobody knew whose son or father it is. If you see one of those posters, it is not about finding the uncles and aunties, it is about bread and butter. People who went into farming, they had to wait for 2 or 3 days to get a loaf of bread or a roti. This was the ill effects of partition. And stories of horror kept coming in. Mahatma Gandhi chose to do a fast until death in Calcutta. Then the fast was broken when he said, okay, after the partition, you must take a vow that every Muslim child that has lost his father should be brought up in a Hindu home and every Hindu child should be brought up in a Muslim man's. Well, the father of the nation tried his best, passiveness or call it whatever it is, but then that was the price we had to pay for partition. There are stories of horror where it was seen mutilated bodies of women. Women are the most sufferers. Violence of women was to the extreme. Their breasts were tattooed, branded slogans of Hindu religion and vice versa. Heads were cut off. I mean, one doesn't speak of the horrors, but it's really a harrowing tale. But then this reminds, in fact, 20th century was the century of partitions. Like you see the Cyprus, you see Iran, that Kuwait, you see the German division and reunification of German again. Wherever it was, it is a state of partition, but never was a partition so dreadful, so melancholic, and so devastating as this partition of India. So, my dear young people, we are here to hear the stories, but remember, unity in diversity is what is India famous for, but that doesn't mean that you have to divide by religions, caste, or creed. We as one nation should be tolerant to every other religion, every other caste, and stay united as we, the Indians. The partition teaches us how we overcome all these in the last 45, in the last 70 years. And still, like R.N. Tagore used to say, Rabindranath Tagore in famous Gitanjali, where the mind is without fear, the head is held high. Where the world has been broken into narrow fragments by such domestic walls. Where the world is not that way, into the land of freedom, my father, let my country awake. So the partition should teach us all unification and say, ours is the only country that goes to the glory. Let us remain united and stay united. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the significance of Partition Day, the importance of preserving our historical memory, and the lessons we can learn from the past. I now request, we're indeed privileged to have with us Dr. Narayana Sabhahit, Pro-Chancellor, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, Technology and Science. I'll introduce sir to all of you. Dr. Sabhahit is a... All right, so sir needs no introduction, sir. We would love to have you address the gathering.
I keep on hearing my introduction whenever I go. So I thought let us not have it here today. So good evening to everyone present here. Colonel Prakash Chandra has, narrated very nicely how, the partition has taken place. What was the major reasons? Before the World War, we were united in the sense whether you take Mahatma Gandhi or Jawaharlal Nehru, Jinnah, because these are the key people actually. Looking after, they are against the British, these three people. They were united. There was nothing at that point of time. I don't think they have, any of them, all the three, have in mind that we are going to, divide, the India-Pakistan. It was not in their mind. It's only when they thought that because Muslims are minorities, about 20%, Hindus are 80%. So if we don't divide it, probably, we'll be marginalized because Hindus are large in numbers. So probably that has led to, the decision of Jinnah to see that, that it has to be divided. Otherwise, probably it would not have happened. This actually tells clearly we should not mix up the politics and the religion. This is where the main problem. Had they not, of course, Jinnah last moment he tried, but then it was too late. He made a very statement clearly that, the people who are, whether it's Muslims or, Hindus, they will be in India, and those who are Hindus and Muslims, they will be in Pakistan. There's no actually the movement as such. But then the communication has gone little late. And by that time, they all started, the moving from one place to another. That means from India, the Muslims are moving to Pakistan, Hindus are moving to this at the borders. Of course, communication, if you look at today's communication and the communication at 1947. I don't know whether how people used to communicate to the villages. These are all the places we are, remote places in the borders. So all these things have happened. But we have to learn something from this. Of course, people say history repeats. I don't think we expect anything of this kind in future. Or even if it's something unavoidable, we need to be very careful. And losing, in terms of, the 10 to 15 millions of people, losing their life or displacement, and then almost 1 or 2 millions, they lost their life. So, which is, definitely a darkest time in our history. So, every year we celebrate this. Last year also we celebrated. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, to remember the people who have lost their life and people who were putting into a very difficult situation at that time. So the national, the annual, the celebration. It's not celebration. It's a horror remembrance day, which he said that we need to celebrate. Our people, the generation, the coming which generation should know what has happened during the partition. I'm sure most of you have read some of the books or might have seen in the movies how it has happened, but it was really very, very horrible days, and people have gone through those horrible days. So thank you very much I think I should thank the Director Student Affairs taking a lot of interest in organizing this event.
Thank you, sir, for the impactful and meaningful address. As we near the end of this meaningful gathering, we express our gratitude to all those who've contributed in making this event possible. Our guests, performers, volunteers, and each one of you. I request Dr. Geetha Maiya, Director Student Affairs, to do the honors of expressing her gratitude on all our behalf.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, heads of various institutes and departments, MAHE officials, colleagues and dear students, very good evening to all of you. My duty is to propose a vote of thanks to all who have worked hard to make this event possible today. I would like to express my profound gratitude to our Honorable Pro-Vice Chancellor, Dr. Narayana Sabhahit, for addressing the gathering and giving us an educational message on this occasion. Thank you, sir. We are deeply indebted to our esteemed chief guest, Colonel Vinod Bhaskar, Chief Warden MAHE, for accepting our invitation and for this thought-provoking message. Thank you, sir. We are grateful to our respected Registrar, Dr. Giridhar Kini, for gracing us with his presence and delivering the welcome address, and also for all his suggestions and guidance in conducting today's program. Thank you, sir. My thanks are also due to Colonel Prakash Chandra, Director General Services, for gracing this occasion and also addressing the gathering. Thank you, sir. I'm very grateful to all invited guests, MAHE officials and heads of MAHE institutions and departments and students from various institutions of MAHE for being a part of this event. Thank you all. My sincere thanks to the most valued student participants from the Department of Commerce and faculty coordinators from various institutions and also Manipal College of Nursing for being with us today. My thanks are also due to our Deputy Registrar, Dr. Raghavendra U, and the Estate Officer, Mr. Balakrishna, the staff of the Registrar Office, Ramanand and Sandesh, and all my colleagues at the Department of Student Affairs for rendering all the required help to organize this program. I express my sincere gratitude to all the members of Public Relations and Media Department for the coverage and publicity of this event, and to the members of the Audio Visual Department headed by Mr. Suresh. Thank you all. My special thanks to Mr. Ritur Raj, Mr. Mithun Raj from PR and Media, and Mr. Praveen, Housekeeping Supervisor, for assisting us in organizing the entire event. My heartfelt gratitude to the Master of Ceremonies, Dr. Evelyn Jacqueline Fernandez, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, MAHE, Manipal, for efficiently taking us through today's program. Thank you, everyone. I also thank all the students of the Department of Commerce for rendering the melody of invocation, playing the tabla, keyboard, and patriotic song. Thank you all. Finally, I would like to thank each one of you present here at this event. On 14th August 2021, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, "Partition's pain can never be forgotten." As we observe the Partition Honors Remembrance Day, let us remember the victims and sufferings of the people during the partition and pay homage to them. Thank you, one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Geetha Maiya. We have two significant events now. Once we proceed with the national anthem, we as audience and all the dignitaries are going to take a tour through the exhibition while Anushka is going to sing a beautiful patriotic number for us. For now, let us all stand up and unite our voices in singing our national anthem, a symbol of our shared identity and the spirit of our great nation. I invite the students to lead us through.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा वृंद हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे रामे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Let us carry a torch of remembrance forward, ensuring that lessons learned from history inspires us for a better tomorrow. We now break this session for a tour through the exhibition that is put up with a lot of efforts, even while Anushka is going to sing a beautiful patriotic number for us all. We thank our dear delegates for being part of this memorable event. Thank you so much for your presence here with us. Yes. Anushka, can you just lead us in the patriotic number?
मेरा कर्मा तू मेरा धर्मा तू मेरा सब कुछ मैं मेरा सब कुछ तू हर कर्म अपना करेंगे हर कर्म अपना करेंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए हर कर्म अपना करेंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए ये दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए तू मेरा कर्मा तू मेरा धर्मा तू मेरा अभिमान है वतन महबूब मेरे तुझ पे दिल कुर्बान है तुझ पे दिल कुर्बान है। हम जिएंगे और मरेंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए। दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए। हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई हम वतन हम नाम है। हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई हम वतन हम नाम है। जो करे इनको जुदा मजहब नहीं इल्जाम है। हम जिएंगे और मरेंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए। दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए। दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए। Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being part of this esteemed gathering. Thank you so much for being here with this.
Vande Mataram. आबाद रहे तू। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम। ए गुजरने वाली हवा बता मेरा इतना काम करेगी क्या। मेरे गाँव जा मेरे दोस्तों को सलाम दे। मेरे गाँव में है जो वो गली जहाँ रहती है मेरी दिलरुबा। उसे मेरे प्यार का जाम दे। उसे मेरे प्यार का जाम दे। मैं वापस आऊँगा, मैं वापस आऊँगा फिर अपने गाँव में किसी के छाँव में। कि माँ के आँचल से, कि माँ के पीपल से किया जो वादा तूने निभाऊंगा। ओ देश मेरे तेरी शान पे सदके कोई धन है क्या तेरी धूल से बढ़ के। तेरी धूप से रोशन तेरी हवा पे जिंदा। तू बाग है मेरा मैं तेरा परिंदा। है अर्ज़ ये दीवाने की जहाँ वो सुहानी देखी। एक रोज वही तेरा नाम हो। तेरी मिट्टी में मिल जावा गुल बन के मैं खिल जावा। इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू। तेरी नदियों में बह जावा तेरे खेतों